There is a 6-point gap between Arsenal and Chelsea. And historically, any team that has had that cushion after 12 games has gone on to win the league. It's happened to Manchester United. It's happened twice to Chelsea, once to Manchester City, and twice to Liverpool. The word inevitable seems to be hanging around Arsenal at the moment. Every other team who's been in this position has gone on to win the league.
Look, now this is not me talking as an Arsenal fan. It is me saying at one point you have to embrace it. People were talking about the process. It's not believing in the process anymore, it's happening. Yeah, you have to be honest. We put ourselves in a situation where we have, I do believe, the best squad. Did you hear the name of the players that he mentioned just now? They're not playing. Look at how we played. You're not complaining anymore about missing one or two. So you need to make sure that you can win the league. I'm not saying you're going to win it, but you need to act like it. You are favorite. Embrace it. Not know anything. Like we all know it's going to be difficult against Chelsea. We all know we have the game at in midweek against Bayern Munich. But it's time to deliver. And you need to embrace it. It's not me trying to put pressure. It's not. If I was in that dressing room, that's how I would have come back in the summer. I would have said, guys, it's time. Mm-hmm. Enough of messing around. We need to now put a performance this year where people are going to be scared of us. And that's about it. It's not being cocky. It's not being whatever it is. It is you work for it, right? You suffered from it. Everything that you did this summer is to make sure that you can have two squads. I would say that the two squad that we have, if you maybe change it however you want to change it, can finish. Obviously, the first one, you know what we can do when those guys play. The other one can be in the top four. This is how good of a squad we have.
I think over the last 3 years, people have almost sort of laughed at Arsenal a little bit about second again. But there's a lot of big clubs in this country, and I mean, it's not something to turn your nose up at in terms of finish second 3 years. That's not easy in itself. But what Arsenal have done in those 3 years, they've never threw the league away. The first couple of years up against Man City, we all felt Man City were a better team than them. They probably let themselves down a little bit last season, how far off they were from Liverpool. But the only team who can stop Arsenal winning the league is Arsenal. They are the best team. They are the best squad. The only thing that can stop them is their own head, their own mentality. Maybe this crowd getting nervous in March and April. If the league is still up for grabs by then, this would be one. If they didn't win it, I think we'd all point the finger at them and say, you threw this away. I don't think that's ever been the case before. I always think the case has been there has been a team slightly better than them in the Premier League, but that is definitely not the case this season.
And there have been moments at this ground late on in the past 3 seasons where it's felt extremely tense here at the Emirates, in games where Arsenal will have felt they had to win to either stay in the title race or maybe just get their noses in front in title races, and that's where they've fallen short. Do they look more relaxed to you? Do they look more that pressure isn't there in the same way?
Mikel looks more relaxed. The way he's on the bench, he would have his moment, like everyone right on the bench. But sometimes when you're the boss, you don't do it on purpose. But the way you are will have an impact on everyone in the stadium and on your team. But I can see that now also having the squad that he has makes him go into a game more relaxed because of what the guys can give him, and you could see it today. But yeah, you feel it as an Arsenal fan. Sometimes when you're there, and maybe before, the 2 years before or last year, 3-1, we would have seen it out. Maybe we would have finished 3-2, bang, 4-1, and then we control the ball and we go back being in control of the game. So that's a plus. But I agree with Jamie. It's not so much about what the others are doing. It's in your hand. Just get on with it.
And I think the point about finishing in second place for 3 consecutive seasons is an interesting one, because sometimes, as much of an achievement as that might be, 3 seasons is quite a long time in football. So for that same-ish group of players to go again and to have the energy to go again, to have the focus to go again and find themselves in this position, is that impressive in itself?
It is, but you know what? I will take. Bukayo has been there for a little while. You have guys that are just arrived, but it seems that they bought into what's happening. Sometimes it takes a bit of a moment to do that. But for me, when I see how Declan Rice plays, and how all those guys play, by the way, we can talk about Nkapie, we can talk about everybody. you can see that there is something happening this year. Once again, that doesn't mean you're going to win the league, but the attitude of it is right there. So let's not, mess it up. And I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah,
with
I'm
you.
sure you will. Hello, everybody. We are at the Emirates Stadium for the Gary Neville podcast in the wake of a pretty awesome performance from Arsenal against Spurs in the big derby here. Arsenal have won by 4-1. Eberechi Eze got a hat-trick. And the very simple question for you, Gary, is how good are Arsenal?
Very good. A lot to like about them. I think that over the last few years they've been building towards obviously trying to win a title, and they haven't won that title yet, but they do a lot of things very well. And I think the narrative going into today's game, which I wasn't even entertaining sort of in the last 48 hours, is this, without Gabriel, or Gabriel's injured. No one's interested anymore. Arsenal fans aren't interested. Mikel Arteta is not interested. And what they've demonstrated again today is they've now got a squad that can cope without players being fit. And you know during a season, at the start of a season, you know that certain players are going to miss certain games. And so we've seen Nketiah come in today, slot in really comfortably. Mosquera's done it throughout the season. So don't let that narrative build. Nobody's interested in excuses. We heard last year he had no Saka, Ødegaard, the year before, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, no Saliba. No, now he's not that Arsenal team. The mentality is such that they've moved beyond that period whereby they sort of are looking for excuses or might think that it could impact them if a player's missing. They've got a really good squad. Their drop-off between player number 1 in the team and player number 2 who comes in if that player's missing is small. Declan Rice would be a problem, but then he's an exceptional talent and someone who's very different. But today I thought they were excellent all over the pitch. I'm not an Arsenal fan, I'm not a Tottenham fan. But watching that first 25 minutes, I was almost willing Arsenal to sort of go and play and go and if he kept hearing me in that first 25, 30 minutes about pushing it through and not getting caught up in these safe passes. I think sometimes when you watch Arsenal, they dominate possession, they push up the pitch, they really sort of like sustain attacks and push teams in. But they recycle the ball at that point then sometimes too easy and take the safe option. I thought what they did well in that first half was they kept pushing it through into Eze, into Saka, into Trossard, because that's what Tottenham don't want you to do. And every time they did that, they caused problems. It wasn't a lot in the first half, but the 2 or 3 times they did it, they got through them. And Tottenham will come on to them obviously shortly, but they're a team waiting to get beaten by a very good Arsenal team, and that's what Arsenal did. And after what happened yesterday with Liverpool and with City, it was a much needed victory today, and they've sent a message to everybody in the league.
What struck me, and you're talking about Nketiah coming in specifically today for Gabriel and a player for every position or 2 players, when Madueke came on late, you thought, they've got him too, and Martinelli was back on the bench today, and Ødegaard is there, and Gabriel Jesus, we're told, isn't that far away.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Havertz and Gyökeres.
Exactly, and I'm looking at the way that team's performing and thinking, who are you leaving out of this team?
It's not only a squad that should go on and win the Premier League, and I'm not jumping ahead of myself here, it's a squad that I can see winning the Champions League in the next 2 or 3 years. Might not be this season, because sometimes when you go in to win your first Premier League, you become so consumed by that, and then you can sometimes get done in a European game in a midweek on a 2-legged tie. But they're getting to that level of performance and resilience and stability and consistency. You have to be consistent. It's a very consistent performing team, this one, that Mikel Arteta's got. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Trossard, who I thought was sensational today. I mean, Saka was as well, and so was Eze. But Trossard was fantastic. And he's been fantastic, I think, for most of the last couple of months. And he was the one, when you think of Madueke, Martinelli, Eze, Ødegaard, Saka, you're thinking, well, he's the one that's definitely going to fall away. He's the one that will be used maybe 10, 15 games this season. But he's pushed himself into a position. He's a really intelligent player. He knows how to play the position of left-sided forward, stroke midfield player. But Mikel Arteta, like you say, you've got players when you've got a squad that are really sort of pushing each other. Madueke looked really sharp when he came on. He didn't do much in terms of impacting the game, but you looked at him and thought, that's going to be dangerous. And you look at Eze, just looked at the end of the game like he looked Brazilian at the end of the game, Eze, when he was sort of wandering around the pitch. Beautiful to see that confidence in an English player. You think of Brazilians going around the pitch doing that, and South American players with their sort of mentality of sort of enjoying their football and their love of sort of what would be almost taking my podcast. They're not.
Your podcast.
I've just said it, but he was at the end. He was a little bit, and yeah, it was brilliant to watch. I loved watching them, and that's the thing. I mean, the interesting thing is they've got Calafiore and Timber at fullbacks. Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ben White are probably better going forward. There's not much between Ben White and Timber. Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think, is obviously better than Calafiore going forward, but they've got real options at fullback, real options at centre-back. That's it. The only player you'd be slightly worried about losing for a period of time would be Declan Rice, because you can't replace that. That's your Roy Keane, that's your sort of Rodri. That's the player that sort of holds you together. That you know, there's only one of them. So you wouldn't expect there to be a situation, but they have got options if obviously he wasn't there, but he would never be able to replace the ability for him to be powerful on set pieces, his running, his tackling, his impact in the game going forward. Yeah, but really happy with Arsenal watching them this season. I like watching good teams play football. And I think at times, they've been a bit safe. And it was that Newcastle game, wasn't it, where I think Mikel Arteta just got the team balanced right. He went to Anfield and he played a game against City where I just thought he was a little bit handbrake on, and I accused him of that at the time. He's now getting that balance right of the flair in the team and the confidence. And it's the intent. It's the intent. Don't keep passing it back. Don't keep passing it sideways. You're better than that. You've got players up the top end of the pitch, probably 7 or 8 of them, by the way. Doesn't matter which of them play. You can pass it to these players when they're marked. You can give it to Saka with a 6'4" centre-half behind him. He'll hold the 6'4" centre-half off. He won't just hold him off. He'll roll him. He'll go one way, he'll go that way, and he'll take it inside. And that's what opens up the game. Passing the ball to players who are marked, who've got world-class ability, is what this Arsenal team need to have confidence to do, and I'm seeing that more and more, and particularly today. He didn't score from a set piece today. In fact, to be fair, the set piece is probably the worst I've seen from them, but their open play game today, which they've been accused of obviously lacking, it was really good, and that was good to see, and I think they'll get better and they'll get more confident. Yeah, a lot to like about what Arsenal did today.
And just finally, I mean, we ought to ask you to give an appraisal, never mind the fancy stuff at the end, of Eze's game.
Look, before today, I think he had 2 goals in 15 matches. And he's going to play for Arsenal Football Club, that's had Perez and Bergkamp and Ian Wright and Henry, and many, many more. So he's got to add numbers. And what he did today was really important. Impacting big games, scoring in big games. He's now got 5 in 16. He's now got 4 Premier League goals in 10 matches. They're the sort of numbers you have to hit if you're playing for Arsenal Football Club. And so what he's got to do is, we know he's a fantastic player. I think he's better in the 10. I love him in the 10. I love him in the 10 because I love Ødegaard in the 10, so it's 2 great options to have. But why I like him in the 10, I think he's got the ability to beat a man with the ball at his feet. And I think he's got the ability to sort of go and do something that's more unpredictable maybe than Ødegaard. Ødegaard's a beautiful player to watch. I think the rhythm in his game and the way in which he plays is fantastic. But I really like Eze in there because I think this Arsenal team just needs to be a little bit more unpredictable in the final third. So when you've got Saka there, you've got Eze there, you've got obviously a centre forward, whoever that may be. It's going to be Gyökeres, Marino or Havertz. They're not the most flair. They're never going to be flair players, those 3 up front. So it's important to have them players around you. Obviously Trossard or Martinelli or Madueke can be the other one on the left. It's important to have that sort of excitement, that thrill, idea that the team that you're playing against don't know what you're going to do and they're going to pop up in different areas, and he can, if it's tight, which it will be for Arsenal many times here when teams are behind the ball, he can go and beat a man with the ball at his feet. He can run without the ball and make runs in behind. So I like him as a 10, but those numbers are important. He's going to focus on that finishing. His finishes were really good today. A little bit of luck, I think, with the first one with the deflection, but his third one was beautiful, and he could have got a 4th as well. So really special day. Sometimes when a player signs for a club, it just feels right. And from the moment he walked out, as you said in the commentary, with that, with those jeans on, with that smile, and the Arsenal fans around him, it just felt warm. It felt good. And you know, you think about a player who's so happy. His family, I think, were all with him as well. So yeah, I think it is working, and it's going to work more, but what he just needs to do now is become a cold-hearted, ruthless killer in front of goal like he has been today. go and score goals, because that's where you'll be judged. If you're going to be a number 10 for this football club in a title-winning season and in a Champions League winning team, you're going to have to get up to that 15, 20 goals, and he can. And he will, I think.
Gunners, let me be honest with you. What Gary Neville said today is exactly what we, as fans, have been seeing for months. This Arsenal has finally become a grown-up team. A team that doesn't collapse when one player is missing. A team that doesn't live on excuses. A team that steps onto the pitch with personality. And for us, who suffered for years with fragile squads, that's almost an emotional relief. When he says that Arsenal now has a no-excuses mentality, I just think that's it. How many times in the past did we lose Gabriel, Saliba, Partey, and boom, the whole team fell apart? Today, Hincapié comes in, Mosquera comes in, Havertz, Trossard, and the level stays high. That's a champions squad. And when Neville says this team looks capable of winning not only the Premier League but even the Champions League in the next few years, I don't see exaggeration. I see realism. The consistency is there. The maturity is there. The stability is there. This is no longer the pretty Arsenal that softened in big moments. This is an Arsenal that has grown up. And there's something else he said that I completely agree with. The only truly irreplaceable player in this squad is Declan Rice. And honestly, he's not wrong. Rice is the soul, the structure, the engine, the security. Losing him would be huge. But aside from that, the rest of the squad rotates brilliantly. About Isa, look, as a fan, I'm buzzing like a kid. Arsenal finally has that player who makes you jump off your seat, who dribbles, who improvises, who breaks lines. Too early to hype? Maybe, but his personality, his spark, that effortless style, mate, that's pure Arsenal. And scoring a hat-trick in a derby only proves the shirt didn't weigh him down. It inspired him. And you know what? Hearing a former player like Neville, who isn't an Arsenal fan, praise us like this and say so naturally that this is a squad that can win everything. It shows it's not just the fans who believe. Arsenal is earning real respect. Respect that took us years to get back. In short, nothing he said today was an exaggeration. It was an honest portrait of what this Arsenal has become. A huge, mature, feared team ready to fight for the biggest titles in European football. Gunners, now I want to hear from you. After that incredible performance, tell me in the comments, who was your man of the match? Was it Ez with the hat-trick, Saka tearing everything apart, Rice commanding the midfield, or did someone else surprise you? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk like true Arsenal fans.